Clicking record. We are recording.
We're recording.
Switching to Discord. Looking at Jordan's face.
Hi.
Hey. What's up, guys? Quarter twins. No. I'm just kidding. Hey, guys. Welcome to Quarter Twins. It's the podcast. We're doing it. What is
We're
this?
doing it.
Episode 7? No.
Episode 7.
We haven't given up. We are still doing it. And
Yep.
For those who haven't heard it, because I have no better way to seamlessly transition into this, we are the Quarter Twins, the only podcast where 2 quarters makes $1, because
Yes,
we're worth more together. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. That is
We're greater
very
than
well
the
said.
we're greater than the sum of our. No, wait, we're less than the sum of our parts. Because together we are more. So that's not great, maybe. But no, it is good. We are.
It is what
it's
it
great.
is. We're happy with ourselves.
Yeah, we are. I love myself and Jordan. Okay. All right. Welcome to episode 7 of Quarter Twins.
Woo!
Our lovely listeners, who we love so well, thank you so much for coming on board with us week after week. You're really making this easier. I mean, obviously, me and Jordan love doing this, and we have a lot of fun. We're doing it 7 weeks in a row. You know, clearly something is going right. But, you know, just to be able to see, like, even a consistent number of people checking in on Spotify and YouTube makes it so, like, we gotta do this. Not just for ourselves, but for them, you know?
We have people depending on
Yes.
us for their weekly content.
Exactly. So it's just it's kind of surreal for me, even though it's like, what, 20 listeners a week?
Yeah, we're getting like 24, 25
Yeah.
per episode.
Plus 10 or so on the
Consistently.
YouTube. But those might be the same people. Regardless,
Yeah.
a consistent listener base, because I'm not going to call them
That's right.
fans, because I don't like that. A consistent...
It is like, we can see like the trend. It is like when we had our first episode, we had like 80 people listen the first time, and then not that many people ever again. So it's like here, and then all of a sudden it's just very low.
Yeah.
compared to the first episode. But it doesn't.
That's understandable,
Really.
I think, with the
That's
hype level
understandable.
for the first one, and then
Yeah.
people are like, oh, well.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Some people really don't care
Mhm.
what we have to say, and
Yeah.
you know what? That's good for
C'est
them.
la vie, you know? One of my friends was talking about how his girlfriend didn't like our Star Wars ranking.
Oh,
So
wow.
some people may care
Sorry.
what we think, and they think we're wrong. But
That's true.
as we stated in that podcast, I believe we mentioned that our opinions are facts, and we are 100% correct. So
Objective
back
fact.
way in the future, when we do our deep dives on the Star Wars episodes, we can explain how we are exactly 100% correct. So,
Yeah.
but we'll get into that.
Because we
That's in the
definitely are.
future.
Yeah, that's the future.
Stay hydrated, guys.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what are we talking about today, Jordan?
We're talking about a very big movie that just came out, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Multiverse of Madness.
The 28th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
That's it? Only 28?
Yeah, 28. We're going to be talking about that. Alongside Doctor Strange, we got a trailer for the sequel to the much anticipated sequel to Avatar.
Avatar.
2. We didn't spontaneously. We had a podcast coincidentally about
We recently discussed the movie Avatar in a
Such
previous
a
episode
hard
of our
time.
podcast. With a guest,
coincidentally
Colton
around the
York.
time when the sequel was given a title and a trailer.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was trying to say.
We
I've been up for
are
a long
incredibly
time.
skilled at planning and seeing the future.
Yes.
So that's awesome. And,
so yeah.
Yeah. So if you go to see Doctor Strange and the Multiverse, wow, me too. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Been 7 of these.
One of the trailers for that movie is the new Avatar 2 trailer, Avatar: The Way of Water. And I mean, it's hype. I'm hype. I don't know about
it's
you,
hype, dude.
but I mean, I watched Avatar. We talked about Avatar for a whole week.
Yeah.
And then this trailer comes out, and I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm back in 2008 or whatever, and I'm hyped for this movie. I'm actually so excited because watching that movie today, 2022, it's still one of the best CGI, like visually, one of the best movies I've ever seen in terms of like the quality of the CGI. It doesn't look fake. It holds up over a decade later. And they've been working on this movie for a while. And we watched the trailer, and it's like, the theater screen is just not going to be good enough. You have to get it on your 8K monitor to see the quality of this movie. And looks good, man.
Yeah, I had that thought of like when we talked about Avatar with Colton. I told you guys how I missed the initial hype train of Avatar when it came out, and I never watched it until like a year ago. I tried to watch it and I got bored and fell asleep, and I just didn't really get the hype. It looked good, but I was like, oh, this is kind of boring and I don't really understand. But like seeing the trailer for the second one, I think I understand now because I always wonder like, how is Avatar the like highest grossing movie of all time?
#1,
like, it did not make sense to me until I saw this trailer, and I was like, this is how people felt like seeing getting hype for a movie that looks incredible.
Yeah,
it looks so good. The visual effects, there are shots that you're just like, that's real 100%.
They went to Pandora.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I think one of the things I was most impressed with was how good the Na'vi looked. I think that was something that they kind of struggled with, because that's like Uncanny Valley stuff where you're creating a humanoid alien with like these flat nose, kind of cat-like appearances almost. And now, I mean, I guess part of it is because I'm kind of used to it now. I've seen this first movie, but even then, like, the technology is better now. And you look at it and I'm like, yeah, that's real. That looks just like a Na'vi. So,
for sure. It's awesome.
I'm super excited. Yeah. So maybe we'll go see it together.
Go watch the trailer.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Go watch the trailer. Go watch Doctor Strange.
Yes.
Speaking of Doctor Strange, no, we're not going to do that. We are going to... I'm a liar. I would like to briefly bring up our sponsors. So because I forgot about that earlier. We already
one sponsor.
Yeah, our one sponsor, Anchor, the lovely folks at Anchor. So
they probably have no idea we exist, but
I don't know. I got 80 cents that says otherwise, bro. All right.
You have 40 cents because the other 40 is
You're right. Okay. And we're back. Thank you so much to Anchor for sponsoring us. We love you. We love that you love us. Huh? How about that? Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I saw it
jumping
once.
Into it.
Well, we got a lot to say.
We got a lot written down here to
talk
about.
I mean, this is the longest document we have written, aside from the Marvel Cinematic Juniverse, which we are very excited to get into, but we haven't filled that one out yet, so that's for a story for another time. But yeah, what do you say? I saw it once. You saw it 2 times.
Yes.
Yeah. This is like my finals week, but I'm done now.
Right.
I have an essay to turn in,
He's graduating.
and then I'm done with college. I'm done with school. So
Incredible.
I'll be ready to. I'm actually like. To quote Olin Rogers, I've been watching back all of his videos.
Dude.
Oh my gosh,
Wow,
what a
Olin.
guy!
Come on the podcast, please.
Yeah,
Come on the
please.
podcast.
That would be so cool.
That would be awesome.
He likes Star Wars. He's had that poster back in his
Yeah.
videos a long time.
He has all those posters.
Flawless Merriment. You remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm extremely happy with being done with school and having the opportunity to move into having free time. And with that free time, I will be able to create more content for this podcast, for my own YouTube channel, youtube.com, Razumafu. I didn't speak into the mic. It's over here, Razumafu.
Shout out.
Yeah. And I'll have Batty Bo Batty, the desktop of my dreams. Wow. All right. With 4 times the RAM I have now.
Ooh, 4 times.
I can actually run more than one program at the same time. Anyway. What was I even bringing that up for? I don't know.
I have no idea.
I'm just really excited about moving forward in life and having more time to see movies more than once.
Yeah, there you go.
Which is something that I think is important going forward if I'm going to continue making film-related content. So, let's talk about Doctor Strange. Spoilers later. For now, we're going to keep it spoiler-free for the homies who haven't seen it within the first week of release. We will talk about spoilers later. So, if you don't care or you have seen it, you can get all up in there later. But let's talk about it without spoilers first.
Yes.
What happened in this movie without spoiling it?
I'm just going to read the official plot synopsis that's on here for Google.
Okay.
It says, Dr. Stephen Strange casts a forbidden spell that opens a portal to the multiverse. However, a threat emerges that may be too big for his team to handle. Now, that's not really what the movie is.
Yeah.
That is kind of a spoiler to say that, but it's not really what the movie is.
Not really, yeah.
I'm not really going to say what the entire movie is, because we'll get into that in spoilers.
Yeah.
But they sell you on this one thing, and that's not really what it is.
Right.
But
Interesting.
it is Doctor Strange. There is a multiverse.
And there is madness.
There is madness.
Yeah.
And that's basically spoiler-free plot synopsis.
There you
But
go.
what did you think about the movie as a whole?
Gosh, I saw it alone. Roommates really not holding it down with me. But that's, I mean, it's okay. It's okay. I got a nice seat right in the center of the theater. Had a packed theater, which I thought was interesting because it wasn't opening day. It ended up coming out on Thursday, even though they said May 6th, and I saw it on Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what happened there. But, I mean, I sat there and I'm watching the movie. I was surprised. I think more than any other emotion I felt surprise.
Yeah.
I was surprised about what characters appeared in the movie. I was surprised about what the bad guy was. I was surprised about who aligned themselves with who. I was surprised about the genre of the film at times.
Yes.
And I was surprised about the level of I don't want to call it gore, but there was violence and blood more so than I think the average
any
MCU.
other Marvel movie.
Yeah. Because I mean
I'd say more than any Marvel movie for sure.
Yeah. We've seen like Thor's eye got cut out. I mean, it was a quick slice, you know. We've seen arms severed in Infinity War. But this was like actual creative, I would say, would be the best way to put it.
So this movie is directed by the one and only legendary Sam Raimi. And Sam Raimi is the man who directed all 3 of the original Spider-Man movies.
Mm-hmm.
And before those, he made a lot of like horror movies is his main thing, and they're known for being very goofy, very gory, and he kind of has a brand of like cheesy, campy humor within like gore and horror type thing. So you see that in his Spider-Man movies too. Like there'll be Spider-Man 2. There's like that random horror sequence with Dr. Ock on the hospital table, like killing the doctors or whatever.
All of the screaming women.
Yes, he likes putting in screaming women, which there are a couple in this movie,
yes.
which I was like, that's
classic.
So Sam Raimi. Classic. It is, it reminded me of when Avengers Age of Ultron was coming out. They were kind of marketing it as this, like, Age of Ultron is going to be darker, it's going to be more gritty, more violent. And then it came out, and it wasn't really. Yeah. It was just like all the other ones. But this movie is, like, legitimately, like, dark and violent.
There were a couple of good jump scares, too.
Yeah, in a way that MCU movies aren't usually.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked it. So. Yeah, probably don't take your kids to it.
Yeah, there were a couple,
Jaden,
like, 13-year-old, 14-year-old kids in there, even younger. And I was like, wow, that was that was a bit much.
Yeah. Cousin Jaden, if you're listening, don't go see this one.
Maybe
unless
wait.
Your parents say it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. There you go. What else, Jordan? What did you think?
I really liked it. Yeah, I thought it was really good. I think we can. That's as much as I can probably say without spoiling it.
Yeah.
You do, like, I have written here in the spoiler-free section, like, we're getting to a point now with these movies that, like, legitimately, if you haven't seen Doctor Strange, WandaVision, What If, Loki, Endgame, like, if you haven't seen those movies, like, you probably won't have any idea what's going on in this movie, which, like, is fine, I guess, because it's like a big television series at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we're so deep in that I think the like mainstream fans, now that Iron Man and Captain America are gone, they're like, this is still happening, and they're just kind of checked out. And I was a little bit checked out at that point, but I think you wrote it here. I think that this movie has definitely brought it back.
Yeah, and in the past, like, year or so since Endgame, like, I've been very, like, fatigued with MCU movies, and, like, because this is, I will say in this portion of the review, this Doctor Strange movie is the best, in my opinion, is the best MCU movie since, I think, even Infinity War. I think it's probably a better movie than Endgame, if I had to guess, but we'll get to that.
Wow.
That's a hot take. But in the past couple of years, like, I think the DC movies have kind of shifted to a, like, for a while they were trying to do what Marvel was doing, which was, like, create this constantly connecting, very, like, consistent, like, cohesive series of movies, and that wasn't really working for them. So what they started doing instead was just bringing on a filmmaker, giving them a character, and having them do something with a character that stands on its own. And that's kind of how I felt with this movie. Like, they brought Sam Raimi on, who is a very, like, specific filmmaker, and they didn't force him to like align with their typical style, because it's very different than their typical style. So it was a great experience to kind of like feel a certain way about a Marvel movie again that I haven't felt in a long time. So definitely recommend.
There you go. We both would officially recommend this movie.
Check it out.
Go check it out. Come back. Watch it again from the beginning. And then
your extra pennies.
Yes. And then we can get into the spoilers with you. And
yes,
you can listen in and hear all that we have to say, because there is plenty on here. So
there's a lot. I have so much to say.
Yes, I'm excited to hear about it. All right.
I'm so excited.
Here we go. Spoiler-free time is over.
Woo!
We have entered spoiler time.
Yes.
First things
So I told
first.
you guys...
Oh, just kidding? No. Go ahead.
I told you guys the like spoiler-free plot summary that is like officially released, and I watched some of the trailers for this movie again. And it really sells you on this idea that Doctor Strange is the guy who like sets this whole movie in motion, or like he does something. They kind of make you think that he's maybe being like dealing with consequences from what he did in Spider-Man No Way Home, or maybe what he did in Infinity War. They really make it seem like he did something bad and now consequences are happening. But that's not really what the movie is.
Right.
I don't think, because it's Doctor Strange is around, and really the plot revolves around a new character, America Chavez. Who can hop through multiversal universes. And Wanda Maximoff is the straight up villain in this movie, which was pretty awesome to see.
Yes.
So here's what's going on. Wanda is, after the events of WandaVision, she is possessing the Darkhold, and the Darkhold is this super evil magical book that has a bunch of super evil magical spells in it from like a demon who turns out to maybe actually be the Scarlet Witch or whatever.
Yeah. Not sure. A previous
anyway,
incarnation of the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
She's using the Darkhold to attempt to reconnect with her children. And
that were never real.
Yeah. In her universe.
Right.
But she sees through the Darkhold that her children are real in every other universe. So when she finds out that America Chavez has this power to go into other dimensions, she wants to capture America Chavez, take her power so that Wanda can take herself to a universe where she can be with her children. But she is an evil maniac.
Yeah, she is the Scarlet Witch, for sure.
Yes. Yeah. She's willing to kill her alternate self to be with her kids and kill America Chavez in the process, and use her for her power or whatever. Yeah. So there's kind of there's so much that happens.
Yeah.
So Doctor Strange, America Chavez being chased through the multiverse by Scarlet Witch, and she enchants these kind of demon creatures to go after her. So Doctor Strange starts helping America, finds out that Wanda is the one hunting her, and then what even happens? Like Wanda comes to Camartage
to
assault them and take America, and there's a big punch battle, which is really cool.
And she,
all that sort of thing.
I mean, she straight up murked some people. Like, she killed most of the sorcerers.
Right. Yeah. So, I'm struggling to even know where to go next in the plot because I've seen it twice, but I'm like, oh gosh.
Well, they
What happens?
Our Doctor Strange and America jump through the multiverse, running away from her.
Yes.
And they end up in an alternate reality, Earth 826.
Eight something.
I don't know. It's 800 something. Yeah. And I think that's also the first time that they confirmed it in a movie that it was Earth 616.
Yeah, I think
maybe.
so. Mm-hmm.
They might have done it in Loki, I'm not sure. But
yeah. But yeah, we might as well just go ahead and start talking about our the good, the bad, the funny segment.
Yes. Oh, right.
That'll help
us. The good,
us,
the bad, and the funny.
Yes.
Jordan, what's good? What is the
What's good? I have written here, good Lord Sam Raimi.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I said earlier, the direction and the cinematography and the editing is so good. He brings back some very early 2000s like crossfade transitions that are so fun and so like cheesy. A lot of people hate them because they're like, "Oh, this is like, what is this, 2002 or whatever?"
Ancient.
Like, dude,
but I'm like,
that looks great.
It's perfect.
It's perfect. Yeah, the artistry on display is just amazing stuff.
Yeah. And I don't want to bash all of the miscellaneous directors of all of the past Marvel movies, and just being like, oh, they're one note, they're just filling the role. I think that Sam Raimi or like Taika Waititi and James Gunn are just like on this higher plane of existence, where they are, not only are they notorious for their specific artwork, but they're given that creative license to make their movie, and they're not gonna, like, they know the source material, and they can bring their stuff and the source material and the cinematic universe material all together to create a unique story.
Yeah.
And those three directors I mentioned are, like, as I said, on a higher level than the other ones that I can't even name off the top of my head. But
you're right.
Yeah, I think Sam Raimi just knocks it out of the park, and it's so good. Oh, I want to gush about Scarlet Witch, if that's cool.
Yes.
At first,
please.
We have
Elizabeth Olsen.
We have Wanda Maximoff is just Wanda in Age of Ultron. She shows up. She's got her thick Sokovian accent and her twitchy fingers that she doesn't really do as much anymore. And she was bad. She did some bad things. I'm going to backtrack, actually. Here we go. Last week, I talked about a specific moment in the trailer where she said that she does bad things and she's the bad guy. Doctor Strange does bad things and he's a hero. This movie proves that I was right about being annoyed by that statement, because she ends up being the main villain.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, well, she's the main villain, whatever. But, I mean, she is... Yeah, so my train of thought is all over the place here, guys. All right?
We're struggling right now. I'm operating on like 40% right now, so...
Okay. So, I said my thing about the trailer and how she was doing bad things. She's looked at it as the villain because she enslaved an entire town. What wouldn't you do for your family? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's kind of where she is now. But she started as Wanda, and we never heard mention of Scarlet Witch by name until WandaVision. So she went through Civil War, Endgame, Infinity War, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And she finally, in WandaVision, at the end, she gets, like, she learns about runes, and like actually how to use magic and what it is, and she becomes Scarlet Witch. She gets the new fit, the new drip. She looks good, and she gets to be this crazy person. And then at the end, she's sad because Vision is dead and her kids were never real, but she still has those memories of them.
That would be sad.
And so now
yeah.
she just dreams of lives, a happy family life with her kids, and then wakes up every morning and they are not real. I cannot imagine how traumatizing that would be.
Yeah.
And so, of course, an object of such darkness, like the Dark Hold in the name, come on now, takes hold of the darkness in you, as it were, and shows you exactly what you want to see. But it's also going to corrupt you into doing bad things. So she sees that the multiverse is real. She sees that America Chavez, who we'll get into a little bit later, is capable of jumping through the multiverse. And she puts two and two together, and she's like, I'm going to take the place of one of the other me's so I can have the family I dream about, literally, every night. And so it's like, wow, that is a legitimate villain motivation.
Yeah.
And I think it's super cool that we are able to use a former good guy and over, a decade of our lives, slowly strip away all of the good. Oh, it's even like a rubber band, because she started bad and then was made good, and then everything was taken away from her, and now she's bad again.
Yeah.
And so I like a good villain, and Scarlet Witch, who is now calling herself Scarlet Witch, is good, and she is terrifying.
Yeah, and Elizabeth Olsen is an incredible actress, and she is so good in the movie. And yeah, it's revealed that in the Marvel universe, your dreams are actually windows into your other lives, right? So Doctor Strange in our universe has a dream that he's being chased, whatever, he's with America Chavez, and then he wakes up and then he realizes later that was happening for real in another dimension. So Wanda, Wanda not only has to dream about her kids, she has to dream about them and know that those kids are real somewhere else, but they're not real in her life. So it's, that's
a tragedy
for sure. It is.
It's very similar to Wilson Fisk in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, right there.
Yes, there you go.
So,
there's
interesting
reference.
Boom. Nice.
Yes.
Okay. And kind of what I wanted to go off of Wanda being Scarlet Witch and how strong she is in this movie is finally, like, I think we got a glimpse of it in Endgame when she almost solos Thanos in his armor. And then she only loses because Thanos sacrifices most of his troops by raining fire. I just watched that movie the other day, so banger, by the way. I watched all the movies that Doctor Strange was in preparation for this podcast.
Yes.
And I think other than that, and like at the very end of WandaVision, we finally now seen how strong she is. And like Scarlet Witch is basically the Reality Stone. Yeah. And other than Captain Marvel and maybe America Chavez, like, she's the strongest character in the MCU. And she doesn't even have to have Infinity Stones to be that strong. And so I think the other part of it is that Steven... Oh, yeah?
She did get her powers from the Mind Stone, right? Because they...
Oh, yeah.
The Hydra used the Mind Stone to enhance people, right? That's what
true.
happened?
No, you're totally right,
If I
actually.
recall correctly.
Yes.
But she already had power, and that just enhanced it. I don't know.
I'm not sure because they're technically mutants.
Because that revelation was in WandaVision, where
Right.
Agatha Harkness revealed to her that she had that power the whole time as a kid. And she was the one that saved herself and her brother from the rubble or whatever. But anyway,
Interesting.
I don't know. I need to remember what that is about.
Yeah. You'll have to talk to Elisha about WandaVision because
yeah, he watches that one more than I do.
yeah. Yeah, I just also wanted to bring up, like, in contrast to how strong Wanda is, I think this is one of the times we've seen Stephen Strange be weak. So, like, in Endgame, he pulls out some crazy cool spells and, like, is, reality-altering butterflies and stuff, whatever cool effects, right? And in the first movie, he's able to use the time stone to create a loop in time to defeat one of the strongest entities in the multiverse. Now, he doesn't have the time stone because all the Infinity Stones are gone now.
Yeah.
The Eye of Agamotto is just an artifact now. It doesn't have anything in it, I guess.
It's just a necklace.
Yeah. And he's not the Sorcerer Supreme. Wong is now.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feels like Steven can't really do anything. He loses almost every fight in this movie.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good thing. Because, like in Doctor Strange 1, he's the best surgeon ever. And he can do no wrong. But he's also really arrogant and, self-centered. And it causes his own destruction, right? Temporarily. But then now he's become the Sorcerer Supreme. He saved the multiverse twice, blah, blah, blah. He's become arrogant again. And I think this movie does a good job of grounding him because we see multiple Stephen Stranges and multiple Christine Palmers come together to, like, give our Stephen a reality check that he is not it. I guess. He's not the main character, one might say, even though he is in this movie, literally speaking.
Yeah. Yeah, I did want to talk about Steven and his character arc. Because this movie, like, he's, like movies are supposed to have character arcs. Like, he starts the movie one way, and then he ends the movie changed in some way. That's character arc. And it's a character arc that builds through all the movies that he's been in. Like you said, in the first one, he's portrayed as very arrogant. He will tell you that he's the best surgeon in the world, and he wants to make sure everybody knows that. He wants to be the one in control.
I could have done better.
Yeah. And one of the things I loved about this movie was the callback to Avengers Infinity War when one line he says, "This is the only way." They used that line in his character arc, and he says something like, in the grand calculus of the cosmos, your life is, insignificant compared to the greater good or whatever. And so when we start this movie, you see a version of Doctor Strange. He's with America trying to get to this book. We can talk about that later.
The Book of Ashanti.
Book of Ashanti. And he realizes that Wanda's about to get America's power, so his solution is to kill America, take her power onto himself so that Wanda can't get it. And he says that line to America, that your life is insignificant in comparison to the greater good of the cosmos, basically.
Yeah. Similar to Spock would say the needs of the many outweigh the
Yes.
needs of the few, or the one.
Yes.
Continue. Sorry.
And so then, you're good. Strange, his character arc, because 616 Steven still kind of feels that way. He says that thing to Tony and Peter Parker, if I have to sacrifice you or the kid to save the stone, I wouldn't hesitate to do that. But this movie takes him from that place to learning that America Chavez, her life is just as valuable as anyone else's, and that's what being a hero is saving the one. So it's a whole character arc. And I was like, Sam, thank you for putting a character arc in a movie. I loved it.
Yes.
Ah, so good.
Wow.
So that's the end of the movie.
Yep.
That's his character arc. I did also want to talk about the action. When we talked about Fantastic Beasts, we kind of talked about how I wasn't really a fan of Harry Potter movies, like the way that they do like magical battles or whatever, because it's a lot of just like point and shoot the wand. But in this movie, like the action scenes are so fun because he's using magic in creative ways. Like he'll summon a disembodied head of a big dog to like eat a car or whatever.
Yeah,
He'll,
what
like,
was up with that?
Summon two big hands to like float down and grab a light post and stab it into that alien's eye. My favorite sequence in the movie is when 616 Strange is fighting basically evil Doctor Strange who has the Darkhold. They're fighting in a Darkhold. They're fighting in the what's his place called? The Sanctum.
The Sanctum.
Sanctum Sanctorum. They have this battle with music notes, and it's hard to describe if you haven't seen it, but they just have this magical battle using music notes and music staffs, and it's just like one of the coolest things I've ever seen in a movie.
Musical too. Like it's not just like they're throwing notes. They like hit and they make the note that they were on the sheet or like as fast as they would be, and it kind of pulls the soundtrack into it as well.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah.
So good.
And I mean, just to combine what you have said with Scarlet Witch, I guess, her action sequences were also quite stunning and creative. And Sam Raimi gets all the credit again for being a former horror movie director.
Yes. She does some messed up stuff. Jeez. When Doctor Strange traps her in like the mirror dimension or whatever, and she like transports herself through a mirror and she comes out all like twisted up and her
like
body
Nebula or
untwists.
something.
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh.
Ooh. Yeah, she like
creepy stuff.
She starts using all of the reflections in the mirror dimension and like so she can transport herself through reflections, and so there's like puddles on the floor and her hand comes through the puddles in the floor, and they like start covering them with towels and stuff so she can't break through. But then she just like herself through a wall. It's disgusting. Yeah.
Yeah, you really do get the sense that like Doctor Strange can't defeat her, and like she wins every battle that she goes on. And you really like feel the stakes, like when she eventually gets to this. The Darkhold ends up being destroyed by some random Comitage student, and Wanda has to go to this mountain where the spells of the Darkhold originated, and so it's basically the throne of the Scarlet Witch, where she can have ultimate power and
rituals
control
and
all
such.
things or whatever. And you really feel like the stakes are super high because they haven't come close to beating her yet, and she's like outsmarted them at every turn. She's gonna get what she wants. The stakes were really high, and I liked seeing that again in a Marvel movie, because you watch other, like Black Widow was one where I was just like the stakes. I know you really like Black Widow. We can talk about it, but like, or Spider-Man: Far From Home. Like the stakes are like, I don't really care that much.
Wow.
But this movie made me feel things.
Wow. Oh, he's feeling. Okay, let's talk about America Chavez, played by Xochitl Gomez. I had to look that one up because her name is not phonetically obvious to me. Yes. I think she's a very interesting character. I think this is her first appearance in the MCU, and she's incredibly relevant now that we have opened the multiverse and like started that thread with Endgame and like really got into it with Loki, and now we have a movie all about it, and suddenly a character shows up that we have the ability to punch holes in the multiverse and travel through them.
Yeah.
And I think she did a good job making the character feel realistic, because like she's this young girl who accidentally threw her parents into a different universe when she got scared of a bee. And hi Sam.
Hi Sam. It's Sam.
Hi.
It's Sam. That's great.
Her first appearance on the podcast.
That's awesome. And then so she just is like a vagrant of the multiverse and gets to be, she has to like learn how to live in every universe a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
And once she has 616 Strange, she's like kind of a teacher in a way of how he has to live in these worlds. And there's a kind of a quote that kind of fits the whole thing, is like, go on red. That they, in one of the universes they're in for a while, the walk sign is red instead of green. And so they kind of, it becomes a mantra a little bit about learning how to exist in the multiverse. And I think her being a younger person also is really good, because I feel like a lot of the strong, powerful characters are these older characters. Like you have well, I guess in this case again, the strongest three are all younger women, but like, you know, Tony and Steve and Falcon and Thor and Doctor Strange, they're all old guys now. In some cases literally old. Thousands of years, you know. And so I think it's cool to have this younger character, hip, new. She's got her denim jacket on. She's great.
Yeah.
And for her to also have a character arc is cool. I also like that she wasn't the main character. That this was still Steven's movie, despite Wanda being the big villain and having her character arc, and introducing Sochi's character America into this movie as well. It was kind of like, have you ever played the game Last of Us or heard of it?
No. Heard great things, but I never.
Yes. It's a zombie game focused on an old guy whose daughter died at the beginning of the zombie apocalypse. Spoilers. And then he finds a girl with the cure, or like she's immune to zombies. And so he has to transport her across the country to this doctor to get the cure, blah blah blah. But it's a great story of a mentor character learning from a younger person. And I think that translates well to this film as well, because I think she teaches him some things and gives him perspective, and he teaches her some things as well. Because at the end of the movie, she's also learning the mystic arts.
Yeah, and I think her character is really interesting, because she says that, like, throughout the multiverse, everybody has their, alternate self in another multiverse, but she says that she has no duplicates. Like, she's out of the vastness of the multiverse, she is the only America Chavez out there. And that
she doesn't
is
dream.
what makes her unique or whatever. She doesn't have dreams because she doesn't have any alternate selves. Which is super interesting. Do you want to talk the Illuminati? We should probably talk the Illuminati.
I was going to bring that up next.
Last thing on my good list, because sadly that leads us into our bad list. But for a few reasons. But okay, so Doctor Strange and America Chavez get thrown into this alternate dimension, where Doctor Strange appears to have given his life to defeating Thanos, and he has a monument built in his honor. And Mordo, a character from the first Doctor Strange, is at the Sanctum Sanctorum, living there as the Guardian or whatever in Doctor Strange's place. So they have this conversation about what's going on with Wanda. Strange is asking Mordo for help, and then Mordo drugs Doctor Strange and America Chavez and takes them to the headquarters of the Illuminati. And in the Marvel universe, the Illuminati is this group of nerds who who's just sit around and in chairs and talk about
debate
stuff. It's a cameo fest for sure.
Yeah, I believe in the comics it's led by Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
but in this case,
I think. Yeah, which I think Mordo in this case is a part of the Illuminati, the Sorcerer Supreme or whatever. So it consists of Mordo, Captain Carter, Peggy Carter as Captain
America Britain
Serum or whatever, Captain Britain, Captain Marvel, but played by Lashana Lynch, not Brie Larson, Professor Xavier, and then so all those are people we knew were in the movie because they showed us in the trailers.
Yes.
So I'll get to that. But there are two characters that I didn't know were in the movie, being John Krasinski shows up and as Mr. Fantastic.
Yes.
I've never like fist pumped in a theater so hard in my life. When John Krasinski pops up, I was like, he's here, dude. He's here. I've been waiting for that for so long. And so he shows up as Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, the smartest man in the universe or whatever. And the second one, Blackagar Boltagon, or Black Bolt, which was that was the most shocking thing in the movie because...
I was like, who is this guy?
I don't know if you remember last week when we talked about MCU shows, and I mentioned the Inhumans TV show that they made that nobody saw because it's garbage. And but this actor, Anson Mount, I think is his name, plays Black Bolt in that show, and they brought him into this movie, and it's just the most shocking thing I've ever seen. I don't think anybody expected them to use that actor. I didn't even know that he was
from that.
Yeah, he's like the main character. So Black Bolt, Blackagar Boltagon is his name, and he is the king of the Inhumans, and the Inhumans they live on the moon, and on the moon there's this element, Terrigen mist, and when you breathe it in, you either get a really cool power or you get a really lame power. And they enslave the ones who get lame powers, and they let the guys who get good powers be part of high society or whatever. Whole social commentary thing.
Interesting.
But Black Bolt is like the king of... Oops, my mic is falling. King of the Inhumans. So, his power is... every word from his mouth is essentially like a sonic blast of epic proportions. So he can't speak without like destroying buildings. So yeah, it was really cool to see What did you think of that whole sequence? Because I think I have some bad things to say, but we can get to that.
This will probably be our last good thing, and then we'll get into the bad next.
Yeah.
I knew that Professor X was like the big one that they did in the first trailer, and I was like, oh, sweet, X-Men. And then they show the Captain Britain shield, and I'll be honest, it didn't even cross my mind that it would be Peggy. I thought that they were just going to bring some random British guy to be Captain Britain, because my first thought was Captain Britain from the Lego game, not Peggy Carter from What If, obviously, right? Like, going back, like, how could I have been so foolish? And then they showed Captain Marvel, but I think it was brief enough that I didn't notice that it was Monica Rambeau.
Yeah.
But I knew that she would be there. I didn't think that she would be in the Illuminati, I guess. And they get them all. First off, for me, the Illuminati is a dumb name. I think it's lame.
It is dumb
because it's like a real thing.
Yeah,
you know,
it's supposed to be like this group of superheroes who like have an eye on everything that's going on and like have like kind of ultimate insight on what's going on in the world and whatever. But it is a dumb name.
Yeah. And I had the same reaction. I'm sitting there alone in the theater, and I was like, yeah, when John Krasinski showed up as Reed Richards. And they brought up the Baxter building earlier in the movie, or like the Baxter Foundation.
Baxter
and I was
Foundation.
like, oh my gosh, Baxter.
Did she just say Baxter Foundation?
That's Fantastic Four stuff. And then he shows up later, and I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah.
It's real. And so I was super hyped. I had no idea who Blackagar Boltagon was. Is that how you say it?
Dude.
Blackagar
Boltagon.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't know who he was.
So
I didn't
funny.
know about Inhumans.
Such a silly character.
That's actually really funny, too. You talked about the Terrigen, and you haven't seen Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is also...
Not all of it. But they
MCU
appear
canon,
in that show, right?
roughly. Yes. The Inhumans is the center of Season 2, I think.
Okay.
And they have the Terrigen, but it's from the Kree.
Oh, yeah. I saw some of that season.
Yeah, and so, but if you're inhuman, you get a power. If you're human, you die. If you're exposed to Terrigen.
Yeah, turn to stone, right, or whatever.
Yeah, and so, I think it's interesting that now we have 2 different canons for Terrigen. Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see how that works out. But I guess it's the multiverse, so it doesn't matter. Right. So, more than anything for me, it was awesome because we got to see all of these different characters, and it was kind of, I'm gushing about What If last week, about how great it is to have this fun, creative project with 0 consequences. And this time, we're showing teasers of these characters, and we're like, haha, they could be fake because they're in this other multiverse, universe, I should say.
Yeah.
But I went on Wikipedia to see the slated MCU films, and Fantastic Four is all up in there on the list.
Oh, yeah.
So,
for sure,
I think it's safe to assume that John Krasinski will get to play Reed Richards.
I hope so.
In the future.
Yeah.
And I think he's a good cast for a younger Reed Richards, relatively. I think, I don't know how to say it, Ewan Grufford, who played the first movie, Fantastic Four, Reed Richards, was like a perfect cast for that character.
I honestly, like, as much as I love John Krasinski, if they would have brought Ewan Griffin back for Reed Richards in this movie, that's equally as cool as John Krasinski. I think it would have been opinion. Cooler. That would have been awesome. Yeah.
But then there'd be conversations about Chris Evans being Human Torch. So
yeah, right.
And that's
which is what people wanted to see that in this movie, and definitely, I'd be like whatever.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, before we move on to the bad, I mean, still in the good, as excited as I was to see John Krasinski and all these characters, as equally as satisfied I was when Wanda shows up and just absolutely obliterates them.
Oh, yeah.
That was just... It's strange because it's strange to say, but I loved watching them just get absolutely murdered. I thought
Yeah.
it was awesome.
So let's run through them. Black Agar, Boltagon.
Yes,
His whole
the first
power.
one.
His whole power is sonic booms coming from his mouth.
Yeah.
Wanda takes his mouth from him.
She does the Matrix.
Yeah.
She does the Matrix thing.
And then he tries to scream out of nothing and explodes his brain.
Yeah. The back of his head like melts.
Yeah.
And his eyes go and like the shudders from everyone around me in the theater, like audible, just like
Oh.
Sam was not happy about that scene, I don't think.
She was gnarly.
It was so gnarly for a Marvel movie, like wow.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
And
So yeah, she obliterates his head, or he
obliterates his own
his
head
head,
after she
yeah.
takes his mouth from him.
Yeah.
John Krasinski's Fantastic Four.
Yes.
Mr. Fantastic is Elastigirl. For anybody who doesn't know, he is Stretchy Man, right?
Stretchy.
He gets turned into string cheese,
Yeah, string cheese
and then
man
his head pops.
just explodes.
It was like, I was like, oh wow, we are really doing this right now.
Really doing it. Yeah.
And who else was around?
Captain Carter gets the shield thrown through her. She gets Darth Mauled cut in
Oh
half.
yeah. Ooh.
And the shield hits the wall and just blood comes off of it, and you're like, oh my gosh. Captain Marvel just gets rocks, which that was the weirdest one for me, because Captain Marvel, like a bunch of rubble just falls on her and you assume that she's dead, but Captain Marvel like literally like flies herself through armadas of spacecraft, and like,
yeah,
can't she survive some
I
rubble?
think
Like,
I don't
understand what was going on there.
I think her power was taken somehow. Because yeah, like
Wanda
she
had
flies,
weakened her enough to
yeah, because she like screamed and everything when it was coming down on her.
Yeah.
And yeah, like she literally flies through Thanos' ship like a meteor and just blows it up.
Yeah.
She gets headbutted by Thanos. She gets punched by the Power Stone, and her
Yeah.
hair's not even messed up. Like,
She's fine.
but this one gets crushed by
Some
a pillar
rocks.
and she's done. Yeah.
A little
So
strange.
something must have happened to her power being taken. So
What really probably happened was Lashana Lynch's agent was like, you have to kill her in a nice way. We can't have her be humiliated.
Yeah.
We're gonna take her out of the movie, but
and then Professor X tries to go into Wanda's mind, and she finds the Wanda. Okay, so we haven't talked about the dream walking yet, but Wanda is able to possess the bodies of her alternate selves in other universes, and because she can't travel through the multiverse without America.
Mm-hmm.
So she basically kidnaps herself in another universe and goes on this murderous rampage.
Yeah.
And then Professor X tries to peer into her mind to find that Wanda so she can escape the Darkhold Wanda from our universe. And Darkhold Wanda shows up in this like white space and breaks his neck in her own mind.
Yeah.
And then his real brain also gets broken and he dies.
Yes.
Oh,
Crazy stuff.
my goodness.
I love that scene, just like seeing Patrick Stewart in the MCU and that sequence of him like in this very like kind of dream land where it's all white around him, and there's this it's really cool looking, and seeing Patrick Stewart in the Marvel movie was really cool.
It was kind of
but
surreal
that he
because
gets
I thought he
his
was
head
done with that
ripped in
character.
half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
but
we
yeah.
hit an hour. We got to move on.
Move on.
This
to
movie
the-
is amazing, by the way. All right,
It's
so
really good.
anything we say bad here is just us nitpicking, probably. I mean,
Yeah,
there are
well,
some somewhat
nitpicking.
legitimate issues, but
nitpicks.
okay.
Yeah.
Give me your
On the
most
top-
glaring.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, on the topic of the Illuminati, yeah, I have written the thing about cameos. They only surprise you once, and after the first time, you're left to notice all the other things. And for me, it became glaringly obvious that this was something that they tacked on last minute because I don't know if you remember hearing that like they had finished the movie and then they had to do some like reshoots and add a bunch of stuff around the time Spider-Man No Way Home was coming out. And I would bet money that people or the people at Marvel, the money heads, saw the reaction to No Way Home and fans freaking out about cameos of villains and heroes, and that's what we all want. We want cameos, and so they were like, they forced Sam Raimi to put in a whole cameo sequence to get fans to come see the movie or whatever, because in that sequence, like the whole Illuminati part of the movie, like all the Sam Raimi's creativity kind of falls to the background. It starts looking more like a typical MCU movie until Sam Raimi gets to
Gleefully
kill them, gleefully murder all of them. But I think it does kind of like mess with the pacing a little bit because on second viewing you're like, it doesn't really fit with the overall narrative, even though it's cool. But I like it. It's just like, I think it's distracting from the overall like story or whatever.
Yeah. I think part of that might be like the marketing of it. All these trailers bring up like, oh, Professor X is here.
Yeah.
Ooh, Captain Britain's shield. Ooh.
Yeah.
Right? And then you're going into it expecting that to be a major plot point.
Mm-hmm.
And on the first viewing, like you said, like it's cool, and there goes Discord.
Here it is.
We'll bring it back. I forgot that existed. Hello. Let me bring myself back. Okay, all right, okay. Forgot that happened. Okay, what was I saying?
They show you stuff in the trailers and you expect it to be the main thing.
The first time going through, you have this excitement because it is fresh and new, and you're like, oh my gosh, this means so much in the grand scheme of the calculus of the multiverse, blah, blah, blah. And then, like you said, like I haven't seen it a second time, but I can guarantee that it's like the bridge of a song. It's creative and fun, but it doesn't fit the melody as much, or it just works as a bridge to move the characters along through the movie, like pad runtime, I guess. And so I think, you're going to sit there and be like, okay, all these characters don't matter yet, and what they say doesn't matter. Like, they bring up a little bit about how their universe's Doctor Strange was a bad guy, and so you get a little bit, like one little nugget of Doctor Strange's character growth, but you get so much more from Christine Palmer in that world, talking about stuff, and bringing up her relationship with her Doctor Strange. So, I think the Illuminati is great, and then just not yet. It'll be better in like 5 years when all of those characters have actual movies.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I think the script is a little bit like on the nose in a couple places. I think it could have used a couple more passes. I don't think Raimi wrote the script. There are a couple of his kind of goofy humor jokes that land really well, but there are a few that are just kind of meh.
Yeah. I think similarly about the music in this one. going back and listening to Doctor Strange 1, Michael Giacchino did that first one, right?
Yep.
And I think it's certainly plausible because the first time you watch it, you're listening to the words they're saying and what's happening. I always find that the second time I watch a movie, I listen to the music a lot more. So that could be, I just have to watch it again to listen to the music. But I really never felt like there was a point other than the horror sequences when it's like classic horror violin stuff and like sharp sounds. I never felt like there was a theme that was going through the whole movie. And that was a little bit disappointing for me.
Yeah. Yeah, Danny Elfman has, written some of the most iconic, like, superhero, like, Spider-Man. The like Batman, I think it was him, the original Batman theme. And he's done one other score in the MCU, which was Age of Ultron. And in that movie, he ignored all of Alan Silvestri's incredible themes that he put in the first Avengers. He like put him in, but like did his own thing. And so, yeah, not my favorite composer for Marvel stuff, but, not bad.
Yeah.
Because the first Doctor Strange, Giacchino used the harpsichord a lot, and that was like Doctor Strange's theme was very harpsichord heavy. But that's not really in this movie, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah. Well, there you go, huh?
Yeah. Leave it to us to complain about the score.
Yeah.
In the movie.
I mean, we do like music.
We really do.
And it's important to a movie. So
it sure is.
We talked about it briefly in the spoiler-free section about how you need to really be like, you have to know what's going on before this movie.
You really need to watch WandaVision.
Yeah. I would say, of all the things, like, everybody saw Endgame and Infinity War. Like, that's fine. But not everybody's watching the Disney Plus shows.
Yeah.
So watching WandaVision and Loki, I think, just to, like, kind of get with the multiverse stuff is important. And I think, like, for the average viewer, that is a closed door.
Yeah.
And not great. Because, like one of my roommates, I'm watching Guardians of the Galaxy yesterday. And he was like, yeah, I haven't seen this movie since 2014. Like, I don't even remember which one this is anymore. And I think we've reached a critical mass where you're all in or you're not in at all.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I think
that's
it's a little
true.
I think it's a little difficult to be like get excited for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
What do I have to, you go in there and you're like, I saw the first Doctor Strange, but who's this other character? Yeah. And where did America Chavez come from? And what's the Darkhold? Why does Wanda have anything to say about children? But if you're watching everything and you know everything, then it's super hype and it's awesome. Right. But the fact that you kind of have to have all this prior knowledge is, like, not great, not so good.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of a unrealistic expectation, but we're here for it. So
yeah, I mean, this is not a complaint for us because we are all in,
right?
But for the average person,
I was thinking about the whole multiverse thing because we have like 3 things in the MCU: Spider-Man: No Way Home, Loki, and this movie that kind of deal with the multiverse. And in Spider-Man: No Way Home, there are different versions of Peter Parker that look completely different than him. In Loki, there are multiple versions that look completely different than Loki, or even different species than Loki, different ages. But in Doctor Strange, all the variants we see are probably the same age. They're the same actor. They look pretty much the same, except different hairstyles. It's just like, what is the multiverse?
Well, I think
it's infinite, so it's like,
yeah, they
whatever,
can get away with it because it's infinite.
Yeah.
That's
So,
one thing I
it doesn't
thought
really
about.
matter. I was just like,
Yeah. Similarly to that, I was sitting there thinking about how she numbered the multiverse, or like the individual universes.
Mm-hmm.
And like, okay, cool. Our universe is 616. Great. But her universe was like 800 something.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
In the vast calculus of the multiverse, infinite, what are the odds that these two would only be 200 apart?
Yeah.
And not like 15,900,740,800,042. You know?
Yeah.
But also, she numbered them all. Why is she not number one?
I guess, or like is in the process of numbering them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because if it's infinite, you can't put a number to each one. But
and sometimes the galaxies or the universes are all wholly identical except for one tiny minute difference.
right.
Do you call that one like 12A? You know?
Right.
Because that guy blinked a half a second later. So.
Uh-huh.
But again, I mean, that's not really an issue. It's just like a whatever kind of a thing.
Yeah. There are plenty of funny things.
Yeah, let's move on to the funny, dude. Let's get funny.
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned the zombie Strange yet.
Yeah, that was pretty
that's
gnarly
like
too.
one of the best parts of the movie.
Break it down.
So there's at the opening scene of the movie is, I think his title is Supreme Strange, the one with the ponytail.
Right on.
And he gets killed by this multiversal demon, and his body corpse is pulled into 616 New York with America Chavez. So there is, in Doctor Strange 616 universe, there is Doctor Strange, and there's a corpse of a Doctor Strange from another dimension. And so that happens in the first act. And then in the third act, Doctor Strange is in a different dimension, but he needs to get to 616, where Wanda and America Chavez is. Mm-hmm. So he uses a copy of the Darkhold to dreamwalk into his dead corpse that's in that universe. And so he possesses it and uses that corpse to fight Wanda.
Yeah.
And
it's also illegal according to some celestial body of demons
law
to possess a dead corpse. So he also starts getting attacked by the
Dementors.
souls of the damned, I guess, which is Moon Knight-esque in a way. But they look different, a different afterlife, I suppose, because there are many now. So, yeah.
I love it. It's so Sam Raimi, the way he I love that they did it. Like, it seems like they did it, his like makeup practically in a lot of ways.
Yeah, you could tell because his mouth
zombie
didn't look like it was saying any words.
Yeah. I just love that the emotional character arc, the speech that completes America Chavez, her character arc, comes from zombie Doctor Strange being very like, he's like talking like this, and he's talking like super sincere, like and then he gives her a little wink, and it's just like, it's the cutest, like most disgusting thing. So silly, but I love it.
Yeah, out of the dead corpse that tried to kill her, being possessed by him in another universe.
Yeah.
After having killed another different version of himself.
Yes. Oh man, so good.
Gnarly stuff. Yeah. We talked about Blackagar Boltagon. That's a funny name.
Yeah, such a funny name.
What do you know anything about the green talking bull that was a sorcerer? Because at Comertage there was a green bull, just like a green bull,
Oh
walking
yes,
bipedal
the
sorcerer.
the Minotaur.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, when you wrote Blackagar Boltagon in the funny section here, I thought that you had found the name of this bull, and that was what that
No.
was. Because it's
Yeah.
such a ridiculous name.
I think he was like an actual character in the movie, and he got like completely written out because he has one line that's extremely like, "Oh look, a thing is happening," and that's his only
Yeah.
line in the movie. But you're just like, you've never seen anything like this in the MCU, and they're just like,
Yeah.
"There's a magical Minotaur here." Oh, I remember what he says. These sorcerers come through portals, and he's like, "Wow, it's the members from the Hong Kong and London sanctums." It's
Yeah.
like, thanks for telling us.
Great, thank you. Yeah, because they
Oh,
came out
gosh.
and one of them was speaking in a
Yeah.
British accent. I'm like, I can figure
Yeah.
it out.
Figure that one out.
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
goofy, for sure.
And when Christine kind of helps Strange get through his possessing his dead corpse or whatever, and when he gets up the strength to like pull these Dementors into his like rank of power, his eyes open and there's a really loud guitar screech,
Yeah.
and it's like so silly, but I just love it.
It's fantastic.
So funny.
Yeah, they also spoiled that in the trailer that he was like a zombie with all these demons on his as like
Yeah.
wings. I was like,
Did you show you that? But
yeah. I think I'm not going to watch any more trailers other than like teaser
Yeah.
TV spot stuff. And then just not going to touch the trailers for Love and Thunder
Though
or any of those other ones.
they put a bunch of stuff in the TV spots, like the Captain Carter they put in the TV spot. So I wouldn't trust any of it, honestly.
Yeah. It's
But-
scary stuff.
Who knows?
All right.
Should we wrap this thing up?
That was the good and the bad and the funny Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness here, and our final segment, one of them, I guess, suppose, Art or Fart. I
Could you
would say...
take a guess? What do you think we think it is?
If you guys would have to guess what we would say, what would you say? Put it down somewhere.
I don't know
I
if
don't
you
know
saw. I put a poll on our Instagram
Oh yeah,
for
I
people to
voted.
vote whether they think it's art or fart, and there was one fart when I checked, and there were like
Ooh.
7 arts. So
That's
that was our
nice.
cousin Ashlyn thought it was fart. So we'll have
What?
to
Ashlyn.
talk to her about that. Come on, Ashlyn.
Jeez. She probably hasn't
Ah.
seen everything. Maybe, I don't know.
Wow.
Well, that's disappointing because I think it's art. All right.
It is art.
Sam
Objectively,
Raimi.
it's art.
Yeah. I haven't said anything was a fart yet, by the way. On all of these that we've done, arts and farts, I haven't said anything was a fart yet.
Oh, yeah,
You
What'd
said that Fantastic Beast was a fart.
I did. I stand by it. It's a fart of a
Outrageous.
movie.
I thought that movie was great. Relative to the other ones, it's not good, but
It's a fart. Right. It's much better than the other ones.
yeah.
Yeah. What is
All right.
What is that line where it's like polish a turd, it's still a turd or whatever.
Oh wow.
Fart. Something like that.
It's still a turd. Big old rolling turd.
That's right. I texted you about putting recommendations in our episodes, and then I didn't
You
write
didn't?
anything down for myself.
Bummer.
That was my bad.
I thought you were
what
going
can
to
I
come with
recommend?
something. Yeah.
I thought so too, but I recommended things last week, and then I thought, well, I rewatched Logan.
Ooh.
Fantastic.
That's a top 10 movie right there, bro.
If you want to see a good comic book movie, friggin' watch Logan. That movie's
Yeah, with
incredible.
with blood and guts and good music.
yeah, really good music.
Yeah. The scene? Oh no. Never mind. We won't. I don't need to bring it up. Go watch the movie.
Another
You'll know
day.
what I'm talking about. I didn't even say anything.
The scene.
You'll know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Go watch Avatar. That movie's great.
Yeah, sure.
I recommend that.
You know, it's fine.
That's incorrect. That's art.
Yeah, it's whatever.
All right. What's next? What
was
are
just
we doing
about to
next
check.
week?
Doesn't
I think we're doing
Obi-Wan
Spider-Man,
start
no?
next week? Oh, it is Spider-Man week next week.
Yeah. So we will
Nice.
be ranking the Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, and we're gonna throw Into the Spider-Verse in there as well.
Yeah.
Just for
It's
fun.
a great Spider-Man movie. Put it in there.
Spoilers, dude. Come on now.
Oh, it's a good one, man.
They're all good. What are you talking about?
They're-
Or not?
Well, I don't know. We'll talk about it.
Who knows? So next week we're gonna be talking about that, and then we're talking June soon, and we have
June.
as we may have seen a little teaser over on Instagram. Follow us on
That's right.
Instagram, Quarter Twins,
Yes.
and YouTube. I'm over there as well. We are, I should say. You posted about the Marvel Cinematic Juniverse. We're kind of
Yes.
bringing it. We're kind of focusing here on Marvel movies right now. We're a little too Marvel centric. We're gonna have to move away after a while.
Yeah.
But then Love and Thunder's coming out soon after that. So
Yeah. I would really love for you to watch the DC movies, and we could discuss those.
yeah.
Since you haven't seen a lot of them, that would be interesting to see. What
I've
you
only
think of them.
seen the newest Suicide Squad and Man
Okay.
of Steel. I haven't even seen the good one, Wonder Woman.
Well, yeah.
Supposedly, I don't even know.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's pretty good.
All I know is Chris Pine pulls a Chris Evans. So
He does.
take that as you will.
All right.
Yeah. So that's about it for us. We have been Jordan and Joshua. We are the Quarter Twins. We will see you guys next week for Spider-Man. Thank you so much for listening or watching. We'll see you next time.